All right, today we are going to be covering the pros and cons of living in Burlington, Vermont. Everything you need to know about Vermont. Go ahead and stick around. Michael is going to be giving us this knowledge about what it's like living there and the pros and cons of living there. So Michael, thank you so much for being on the channel. Really appreciate it. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
No problem. Thank you for having me, first of all. My name is Michael Dumont II. I live in actually South Burlington, Vermont, but it's only from my house about a 7-minute bike ride to downtown Burlington, which doesn't sound like a very far because it isn't. Burlington, Vermont is a great place to live. I've lived here pretty much all my life, with the exception of about a year of college. I've decided to live here, raise family here. I would always recommend someone come here and come see the place.
Awesome. And hey, summer's coming up, so I just know that part of the country is beautiful in the summer and the spring. So what does it look like in Burlington, Vermont?
Cost of living in Burlington itself is definitely a premium, because it is our metropolitan area. If you don't mind driving a little bit, or a small commute of some sort, biking or something, if you live in one of those suburbs is where you're going to be a little more affordable. The price of living in the greater Burlington area, just to give you an aspect, if you want to be on the views of the mountains, you're hitting about $1 million. And then if you just need your starter home with 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, and maybe 1,000 square feet, you're hitting around the $300,000 mark. There's a wide variety there's definitely a wide range here.
Yeah, that's actually pretty wide. I am a little surprised by that, from the 300,000 to the million plus. So that's with housing. What about affordability in terms of just regular grocery shopping, electricity, those regular kind of bills and stuff?
I'd like to say that we are reasonable. I can say their affordability, other places, is definitely going to be cheaper in a lot of other places in the country. However, when it comes to a quality of lifestyle with access to entertainment, access to high quality foods, and just a nice lifestyle to raise a family, we're probably amongst, I'd say, the greatest value amongst many places. We're often compared with like Boulder, Colorado, as far as environment and just being able things to do. If you're looking for raise a family or something, it's very, very doable, especially if you have skills or trades that you can bring to the area. Because we have such a low unemployment.
Yeah, okay. You mentioned quality of life. And then in the beginning of when we were talking, you also mentioned you're about a 7-minute bike ride. So like biking, is that a part of the culture, or just easier to do living in the area?
Oh yeah, I mean, granted, we have our winters, but it's surprising how many people bike in the winter here. I won't say you wouldn't need a car. Most people do need a car in Vermont, just from the perspective of getting around. But there's a lot of people that have one car for the family, and a lot of people bike, especially now that so many people telecommute. Even, for example, my wife, who works for the state, she telecommutes now, and she only has to go to work once a month. So she does everything from home, but I don't even know why we have 2 cars, quite frankly. I like biking, and the fact that you can get to another town by bike within 15 minutes, just about anywhere in Chittenden County, is not something you can say about a lot of other places, because we don't have huge land masses. We obviously don't have the same population density as some other big cities. I mean, Burlington, Vermont itself, I believe, is, last I knew, was right around 60,000 people at any given time for a population. So it's relatively small compared to a lot of cities.
Yeah, I love that. That's a cool cultural kind of, it defines the area a little bit. Like, it changes how you interact with other people. So even just the environment, if you're able to bike places. So I'm all for it. That's really cool. So tell us a little bit more about the local economy.
Oh gosh, local economy is very much a thing with Vermont first. Vermonters are very innovative. They're actually, I mean, I'm not just trying to toot our own horn here, but I mean, we are per capita the largest state with the most breweries because we're a big beer state. We actually have a lot of distilleries too. We actually have some of the best AI research facilities. We have dealer.com, which is a big business here. They do a lot of tech research and they do websites for like 50% of car websites you see on like Ford and all that stuff. I mean, there's a lot here. There's UVM, Trauma One Medical Center, and Teaching Hospital, which is, I think they're the second largest employer in the state, next to the state itself. And also Global Foundries is here, which formerly was IBM's chip making factory.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, which is great. That's fantastic. So we're talking about culture, local economy. For the local economy, I thought that was an interesting fact. You said in 2008, give us a little history lesson on the 2008. What happened, or how did 2008 affect the area for you guys?
2008 was kind of anomaly. Obviously, most people know that that was a huge housing crisis. Whether you know the details behind the housing crisis or not, Vermont got affected. Well, I shouldn't say Vermont, specifically the Burlington area didn't get hit too hard. We had some slowdowns. But as far as like people, when they think 2008, they think foreclosures. We didn't have the same wave of foreclosures like the rest of the country did on average. If anything, our market sort of stalled, housing sales stalled, and along with that, a lot of development stalled. And we saw not so much people's houses being repossessed, but people just sat on the equity that they already had in their homes. We were lucky enough to be able to do that because, one, I think that originated from Vermont's lending laws are already so strict and were prior to 2008. And another aspect in Vermont is just so many people here rely on their own local businesses and entrepreneurship that they were able to just keep their businesses afloat and doing it through, local vending and stuff, as opposed to like one major business going belly up and making everybody, suffer the ripple effect. So.
Right. Yeah, that is an anomaly. That's super interesting. Yeah, it was not the same in California. It was like, it was very much in the atmosphere, in the air, people losing their houses and stuff. So yeah, that's positive to hear from Vermont. Like this very resilient type of economy. So
yeah, I mean, just as the economy is now, I mean, even the same thing. I mean, the slew of local businesses around here and how Vermonters go about doing stuff. There's so many little small businesses around here. It's crazy how many farmers markets you go to, or just little startups that Vermont has. Per capita makes it very ripe the needs of, spinning the economy wheels and keeping it going.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. So with transportation, like getting to the nearest airport or, if you're flying internationally, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, Burlington, pretty much has the biggest airport in Vermont. Actually, South Burlington has the airport, but it's called Burlington International. I think it's about 15 minutes walk from my house, maybe 20-minute walks from my house. Same thing, pretty much from downtown Burlington. You can probably get there in a 30-minute walk. As far as public transportation goes, we have some public transportation. It's not the greatest in the world. Thankfully, a good taxi service around here. And we also do have, Uber has made a big dent in Lyft, all those cab companies.
Yeah, that's what they are. That's what they are.
Service. They're cab companies. Let's put it that way. Yeah. We don't have a great public transportation service. And that's why I said earlier that, if you live in Vermont, you're probably going to need about one car, especially if you live in the suburbs.
Yeah, you're not very far from the airport. That's cool.
No, it is an international airport. We have an air guard on site there. Actually, they were the first to respond to 9/11, terrible tragedy. But we're lucky to have them here. And additionally, it is an international airport. While nothing flies out of Vermont directly out of the country, it goes to all the major hubs.
Got it. Do you have TSA PreCheck? I'm not sure. Have you heard of that?
Yes, we do.
Oh, okay, cool. Me too. So worth it. Guys, get it if you travel.
Yes.
Or if we're
Yes.
thinking about visiting all these crazy, like, or all these different places in the country.
Well, you say that it's actually kind of funny because I always criticize it because I don't even understand why we have it at our airport. Because I used to always be like, until the whole thing where you have to be at the airport 20 minutes before your flight takeoff. We left 5 minutes or 15 minutes before the plane took off to get to the airport. That's what our airport's like. Now we tend to go about 45 minutes before the plane leaves.
Smaller airport. Gotcha.
Yeah, it's not slow. It's just it's not. We're small enough where we can just do that.
That's sorry. That's what I meant. It's a smaller, like it's
Yeah.
inherently the security line is already small. So got it. Okay. Let's get into internet. So I always ask everyone in terms of internet. You guys have fiber, right? Correct?
Oh yeah. Burlington area definitely have fiber. We have Comcast, big conglomerate in the area, and they're actually going toe to toe with. Burlington likes to do things on their own. Several years ago, maybe even a decade and a half ago, they put into place what's called Burlington Telecom. So they have their own internet service too, and they've been expanding.
I'm all for that. That's good. More competition, the better for that kind of stuff. So, you guys have great internet. So you're also mentioning it's a college town.
Yes, very much so. You can definitely drive downtown on a Thursday evening and see everybody going downtown for Thirsty Thursday.
Nice. And there's a lot of breweries, so it's like
yeah, but believe it or not, that's usually not where the college kids hang out because the drinks are more expensive at the breweries. So
got it.
They're not they're not your $2 PBR.
Got it. 100%. Okay. So how does that affect the area if typical college town, people leave in the summer or some people stick around?
Yeah. Well, you think that it would hit us hard, but it really doesn't because one of the nice things is our location. Well, most people don't know where Vermont is. They usually ask, where in Canada is that or where in New York? We do get a lot of New Yorkers, people from Boston, and a lot of Canadians in Vermont for the summer seasons for just tourism. I mean, because it's such a great place to come. The mountains allow you so many different things to activities from anywhere from hiking, mountain biking. We have some of the concrete sleds. I forgot what they're called, but they're like bobsleds up on the mountains and stuff. And Burlington itself is a great nightlife scene. As I said, lots of breweries, but we don't even have, I think we have something like 230 breweries in the state.
Wow.
Yeah, and they're not all in Burlington. They're all over the state. Some people come to Vermont just to go and tour breweries for like 2 weeks straight.
Wow. Yeah, because I understand it's a smaller state, so it's like it's a lot of breweries for that size, or like you said per capita. It's like
yes. Burlington itself has at least, I think it had 13 breweries now. Another one just opened up last week. So.
Oh, wow. Okay, cheers. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the summers are beautiful. Talk us about how's the weather overall, like in your experience?
It always keeps you guessing. We're actually nice in the South Burlington little area here. We get passed over just because we're in the valley by a lot of like thunderstorms and any really bad weather a lot of times just goes right around us. We do get windstorms every once in a while. Winters can be harsh, but there's a lot to do still, especially if you have an outdoor activity like skiing or snowboarding or even snowshoeing. And as far as the other two seasons, aside from summer and winter, are mud and mud, we usually call them. Although this year's spring hasn't really been a mud season.
What do you mean by that? Mud and mud?
It's just being in the mountains and everything, and we're in the valley and stuff. Any water we accumulate all eventually ends up in the lake. So everything stays wet for a long period of time coming down from the mountains and stuff. So we get a lot of mud. And in Vermont, there's a lot of dirt roads. When you start getting even, 5 minutes, outside of Burlington, there's dirt roads. People get stuck quite frequently with their cars.
Okay. To call their friends for help or AAA.
Exactly. Yeah. I keep a tow line in my car to be able to pull people whenever.
Oh, how nice. That's great, actually. Do people have cars more suitable for the environment? Just because...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at Subaru, I'm the
Mm.
perfect example of a car. It's all-wheel drive, very economical, all around. Yeah, Vermont is one of its choice locations for its consumers, especially most of New England in general, but very popular car type here.
Got it. And I was just thinking if like someone comes with a Honda Civic, it's like, oh, they're not from here. No, just but like you can kind
Well,
of
Hondas are pretty popular too
popular.
because we're very eco-based here. Yeah, I mean the whole state recycles, composts. I mean everything. Our cultural life is great here because just in Burlington alone, there's always different types of festivals and events going on each week. There's a whole arts district we have, and that's where a lot of the breweries are. So they keep people entertained while they're in the arts district. I could say this is just an example of when I talk about farmers market, Vermont first, and Vermont being a great food market, and how we like our food and liquors and beers because I spoke more about the beers, but we don't have a McDonald's in our capital at all. And we
Really?
also do not, yeah, only state that doesn't, actually, I think there's another one now, but
Good for you. Good for you
we were for a
guys.
long time.
Look,
Only place that did not have a McDonald's in their capital. And we also are the only state that, or the only metropolis that does not have a McDonald's.
That's amazing. I see that as a pro. Some people will see that as a con, but I think that's a
Yeah.
good thing. That's like,
We do have McDonald's, but they're more along the outskirts of the Burlington area.
what about Vermont? Are you like, if someone were to come, they're like, where you kind of want to warn them, like, hey, like if you don't like these things, this might be a con for you, kind of a thing.
If you have a hard time with the indoors and cold, definitely because, as I said, in the wintertime, your choices really are staying inside, or if you're going to go outside, you need to be prepared to be cold and have generally some type of activity to keep your mind off the cold. Also, if you don't like humidity, during the summer do get humid, especially during like the August months. You can think of us like Florida during the August month when it comes to humidity. Another thing about Vermont that's probably a huge con is people tend to think that when they come here, it's such a beautiful place. But at the same time, it can be harder to meet people at sometimes, especially if you're in the outskirts outside of Burlington area, because they're not so social. It's much more communal based. You learn your community, but outside of that community, you don't go as far. But everybody in Vermont knows everybody by 3 meets or something like that.
Mm-hmm. So. yeah. It just small. It's a small town, like smaller-ish kind of a town, so to speak.
Yeah. So you watch it. You do bite your lip sometimes around here. I mean, like if I was in New York City, I probably I may never see someone again.
Right.
So.
Right. That's an interesting concept of when you know you're going to run into someone, or I'm probably going to see them like at the grocery store next month, so I should probably not go crazy off.
Even if you don't know them, you sort of know them, so you need to. Yeah, a lot of people.
Which could be
otherwise
a pro or a con, depending on your.
It can be a pro or con. I mean, if you're outgoing and you enjoy people and you can just not judge, I think it's an excellent thing. This is our world sometimes,
Cool. Well, Michael, thank you for sharing, shedding some light on Vermont culture, some pros and cons that you found, and just everything Vermont. So really appreciate it.
No, anytime. Yeah.
Awesome. And what's the best way to contact you? Is it phone, social media? We're going to throw up all your info.
I always will take voicemails, but I think probably texting is probably always best for me, and email. I'm a little old school. I check my email every day, several times, and texting, well, at least texting, I know that I can tell whether or not you're spam or not, especially when I'm trying to rent out an apartment, because as I said, I'll get 200 applications and sometimes hundreds of calls when I'm trying to list an apartment. And so a text helps a lot more.
Yes, 100%. Cool. Awesome, Michael. Well, thank you again for really appreciate it. Till next time, guys.
Awesome. Thank you.